All India Law Entrance Test, also known as AILET, is conducted by National Law University Delhi for admissions to undergraduate law programs in the NLU. It offers 70 seats for 5-year integrated law program known as BA LLB. The mode of exam is offline and the paper has a negative marking policy as well. AILET 2019 has been conducted in 21 cities in India. It is an aptitude test that tests the aspirants on 5 key skills, namely English, maths, reasoning, legal, and general knowledge. AILET 2019 snapshot is as follows. This year, AILET has been lengthy and more difficult than the last year. It contained a total of 150 questions, which is the same as that of 2018. This time also, they have maintained the negative marking scheme. A correct answer gives +1 mark and a wrong answer awards minus 0.25 marks. There is no sectional time limit, which helps in making a sound strategy to paper solving. But on the other hand, a paper-based test like this requires some additional time to mark the answers on OMR sheet. So one must be careful in time planning because it's a speed-based test where you have 150 questions to attempt in 90 minutes and therefore the luxury to cling on to a particular question doesn't exist. Let us analyze various sections of AILET 2019. The first section, English. There were 35 questions in this section. Similar to 2018, this time this section also was grammar heavy, with around 15 questions coming from sentence correction, parts of speech, and figure of speech. Vocabulary and reading comprehension constituted similar number of questions, that is, around 8 to 10 questions. The ideal attempt would be 23 plus, good score would be a 20 plus, and the ideal time would be 21 minutes. The difficulty level of this section would be moderate to difficult. Now let us look at the second section, general knowledge. This section had total of 35 questions. Similar to 2018, this year's GK was also heavy on current affairs. Around 70 to 80% of questions were from current affairs. The current affairs topics were global reports, organizations and their heads, constitution, sports, international news on the US and France, Babri Masjid, etc. The rest 20% constituted static GK. The topics from where the static GK questions came were geography and climate primarily. The difficulty level of this section was moderate. Ideal attempts would be 22 plus, ideal score would be 20 plus, ideal time to be allocated would be 10 to 12 minutes. Let us talk about third section, legal aptitude. This section had total 35 questions. Maintaining the previous year's stance, this year also the legal section has been the toughest. The difficulty level was high. Legal reasoning constituted around 40% of weightage with 15 to 17 questions. Legal knowledge constituted 60% of weightage with around 18 to 20 questions. This section was lengthy. There were questions with facts that were interrelated. So you had to be very sure in attempting such questions in reasoning because if you get one fact incorrect, the entire series of those 3 to 4 questions would go wrong. The questions came from recent judgments like Babri Masjid and PUBG and also from constitutional amendments. The difficulty level was difficult. Ideal attempts would be 25 plus. Ideal time would be 30 minutes and a good score would be 21 plus. Let's talk about the fourth section, reasoning. This section also had 35 questions. The level of this section was moderate. The section was dominated by critical reasoning with question types like statement assumptions, statement and course of action, flaw in reasoning, and syllogism. Critical reasoning constituted for around 10 to 12 questions. There were also passage-based questions in it. Passage-based questions constituted for around 10 to 12 questions of moderate level. 2 to 3 questions each came from the topics directions, analogies, and blood relations. Ideal attempts for this section would be 25 plus. Ideal time would be 20 minutes and a good score would be 20 plus marks. And the last section was maths. Maths was the easiest of all sections. There were a total of 10 questions that came from time and work, ratios, averages, percentages, time, speed, distance, and mensuration. Ideal attempts would be 8. Ideal time would be 8 minutes. Good score would be around 5 plus. In the overall analysis, the aspirants would have found this paper as difficult and lengthy. Ideal attempts would be 110 plus and ideal score would be 85 plus. Overall, the ideal score would be slightly less than the individual score because the paper is lengthy and difficult, and therefore one might have emphasized more on a particular section than on the overall exam. Thank you.